a lot of people, when they're starting off, they're so desperate for a deal, it's hard for them to have that go-giver mentality. But I'm telling you guys right now, when you put the family first and their needs, the money's right there with it.
It's really interesting. I love the passion that you have for all of this. Like, can you maybe talk, I don't know if there's anywhere that you feel you draw that passion from, but is there anything in your background that got you really just excited about how to help people like this? Or
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I guess to get personal, my life was always raised very religious, and I would knock on doors as a kid.
Yeah.
From 0 on up. I've heard no more than anyone listening right now. I've heard the word no a lot in my life, and I think you create these duck feathers. You're immune to it. Getting to the yes. I know how to get to the yes. And I think helping people is just kind of, it comes from a place of abundance, like a go-giver mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, when they're starting off, they're so desperate for a deal that it's hard for them to have that go-giver mentality. But I'm telling you guys right now, when you put the family first and their needs, the money's right there with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can unlock all the problems that the family's having. So we call her daughter Judy. So daughter Judy is the adult child of the senior moving into senior living. Daughter Judy's probably 65 years old and her mom's 85. So when I'm talking about daughter Judy, she's not a girl, she's a woman who's very busy still. You ever heard the term being drawn and quartered?
Mm-hmm.
Where they used to torture people with horses. They'd put a horse on each limb and pull you apart. That's what daughter Judy is going through in that moment. Her mom's cantankerous because you had to take her out of her forever home and put her in senior living. The community's like, how are you going to pay this $8,000 a month? Mom's pension's $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the money coming from? Your siblings that live in North Carolina are saying, Mom's not as sick as you say she is, and she's not Nobody wants to think their mom's getting old.
Right.
Nobody wants to think it. So the adult siblings are putting pressure on daughter Judy. Daughter Judy's still married. She's still active and has her own kids. She has a full-time life, and now she's got to help all these things. She's being pulled in all these directions. And so for us as a business, to answer your question, the care comes from, if I put daughter Judy first, the senior living problem gets fixed, and we'll talk about that. Daughter Judy gets what she needs, which is to unlock that equity so she can pay for mom's care, which is the most important thing. And us, the investor, we're the easy part.
Right.
I've told you this before. There's 6 reasons why these are the best leads. Let's go for them. You want to go for them? 6. Here they are. Here's the 6.
Yeah.
I don't have to convince them of motivation. They are highly motivated. Have you ever talked to a senior? Whatever a doctor says is gospel. They don't question it at all. When a doctor says you can't live at home anymore, they're moving, right? I don't have to convince them of motivation. Second reason is 9 times out of 10, they own the house outright. So there's no mortgage to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
The third reason is that these are houses I can add value to. If every house was 2 years old, we'd all have a lot less to do in our real estate world, right? These are houses that they bought 1973, 1965, 1978, and it's their forever home. And even if it's clean, or what I like to call grandma clean, it's got new hot water heater. They put the roof on, but the paneling's in the wrong spot, the shag carpeting. It had a new kitchen, but that kitchen's from 1991. They bought it in 65, but it's still dated again. They've been there so long that they've had a second cycle of datedness. And those grandma clean houses are some of my favorite houses because I can add value to them with the rehab.
Right.
They need to be rehabbed to get them ready for the market. Let's not gloss over this either. More than the rehab, the stuff prevents people from selling more than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
So having solutions, this is a real estate show, right? But having solutions for stuff, and by the way, I'm not suggesting anyone get in the stuff business. Let me just give you this stat. One of my downsizing guys in St. Louis says the average estate sale in St. Louis generates between $3,000 and $5,000 worth of revenue. That's how much dad's stuff is worth or mom's stuff is worth.
Yeah.
The cost to put that sale on, between $3,000 and $5,000 to put the sale on.
Wow.
So I didn't just say that mom's stuff is worth 0. I think it's worse than that, because it might take you 2 months to get ready for the sale, to catalog, to chronicle, all to find out that you kind of got right. And so if you can be a solution for that, you help that family. The fourth reason, let's go into that. There's less competition. I would even say no competition. I compete against myself mainly, maybe against a realtor. but never against 10 other investors like sometimes direct mail or something does, right? You know, if you're a real estate investor, you've been in that house appointment where there's 33 cards sitting there. You know, let's think about this for a second. When you do direct mail, does this sound familiar? Over the age of 65, have lived there at least 20 years, and has equity. We all mail to that list, right? We mail to that list in the attempt that they're going to hit them at the right moment when they need to sell their house. I call it spray and pray. With this, they're raising their hand and saying literally, hey, it's time for me to sell right now. It's the flashpoint of people needing to sell their house. The fifth reason is the most important, why these are the best leads. A warm referral from someone that, if me and your brothers were getting advice from, that trusted person, we're saying, help us with mom. When we get advice from that person and they refer to you as the buyer, as the most trusted person in town, you could be halfway incompetent and buy a lot of houses because that transfer of trust is there. So if you add those 5 reasons up, I always say I'd take the Pepsi challenge with any lead source because they're amazing leads. And I said there were 6 of them. You know, those 5 were worth it just alone. Just in that, you're like, people are like, I want in. The 6th reason, these leads are free if you know how to build the relationships.
Right.
And they're ongoing and reoccurring. I always say, imagine doing a mailer today and you buy a house in 2031. That's pretty, maybe it would happen, right? But probably not. These relationships I've built, I truly don't know the lifetime value of my relationships yet because I'm still doing deals with them every month from 10 years ago.
It's a long-term game. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've still got 20 years in front of us now. It's getting bigger now. And so I'm excited to tell everyone about it. That's why we're here.